Hey there YouTube. So in this video I wanted to cover the NAICS codes for your business and what you need to disclose on your tax return. So the North American Industry Classification System, this is the NAICS code system, is designed to classify business enterprises by the type of activity they conduct, right? So if you're in manufacturing, you'll have a manufacturing type NAICS code. If you're in consulting, investment management, restaurants, whatever it might be, you have a separate code for your sector. Okay, now the principal business activity code is what you see on your tax return. So if you're looking at your form 1120S or your 1065 and asks you to enter your principal business activity code, this is a similar concept. These codes are based on the NAICS system. But they're not exactly the same. There are actually more NAICS codes than there are principal business activity codes. Okay, but even still, why is this code system important, and why do you need to pay attention to your principal business activity codes? Well, first, the IRS and state tax authorities, other government authorities, they use the codes to collect information and publish statistical data for the industries, right? And so one of the easiest ways for them to kind of consolidate this information is you as the company, you as the taxpayer, you come up with a code for your business, right? Because otherwise, when you're just filing a tax return, it's income and expense, owners. The IRS isn't going to know what type of business you're in, really. I mean, you could maybe put restaurant in your name, and so they'll know, okay, it's a restaurant business, but that's not always the case. So they use the NAICS code system to try to separate this data based on the type of business you're engaged in. So that's the intent behind it. Why is this also important? Well, the SBA uses these codes to determine not only what type of business you're in, but whether you're classified as small or large, because they have different standards for different types of industries. So if you're looking for SBA funding, you want to be very careful as to appropriately select your type of business so that you can either fall within that appropriate category for financing purposes. And then it's also very important for governmental programs and grants, right? So like the U.S. Treasury, for example, they have platforms where they issue grants, small business grants and funding for certain types of businesses that fall within certain categories, right? They publish a list of, I think, 25 every year that are like the top contenders for business grants and awards. So ideally, you would want to be somewhere within that top 25 mark to make sure you're at the front of the line. So that's why it's also very important to make sure you have the appropriate code classification on your tax return so it's consistent with any documentation you might submit if you're looking for a grant or if you're looking to borrow money from the SBA. So where's the report on your tax return? Well, firstly, you can find a list of the codes or the principal business activity codes in the form instructions. So for example, if you're doing an S Corp return, if you pull up the 1120S instructions on the IRS website, and it's basically all the way towards the back, it's a section called Principal Business Activity Codes, and that's where you will find a table that has the code number, the type of category, and so you can sift through those to find the one that's most appropriate for your business enterprise type. Now, where is it disclosed on the return? For S Corp returns and partnerships, this code is listed on page 1. For Form 1120 corporate returns, the NAICS code is going to be listed on page 4 of the corporate return in Schedule L. So that's where you indicate the type of business you're conducting, and you would enter the code. Now, if you're a sole proprietor, right, so if you have no legal entity set up, or if you have an LLC, that's a single member LLC disregarded, you're going to be filing a Schedule C. That code is going to be listed in Part B in the top right-hand corner of the Schedule C. Okay. Now, as I stated earlier, there are more codes, NAICS codes, than there are available principal business activity codes in the IRS form instructions. So if you go to the NAICS.com website, you can do a code search, but you're going to see way more NAICS codes than you will when you look at the principal business activity code tables. So if you find your code on the website and you go to Principal Business Activity Code in the form instructions and you don't see it listed, try to pick the most closely connected one to your business, right? So you don't have to be super precise because you are working with a limited number of options, but you still want to pick the one that most closely resembles what type of business you're going to be engaged in. Okay, so that covers it for this video. I hope that was helpful. If you have any questions, feel free to leave me a comment below, and I look forward to seeing you again on the next video. Thank you.